Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social Podcast. Today, we have the first episode in our series, which is leading up towards the World Championships at the end of the month. We're speaking with a couple of riders in preparation of that World Championships. On our podcast today is the British Under-23 champion and the runner-up in the elite race, Cameron Mason. Cameron, welcome on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here once again after our chat last year. The people who didn't listen to that or maybe don't know you, could you shortly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cameron from Scotland. I'm 21 years old and riding for Trinity Racing this year.
We will once again be asking a couple of snap questions, and we changed them up this year, but the first one is still the same. Wonder if it changed. What's the favorite course you've ever ridden?
I can't remember what I said last time, but I think it was Overijse and it's still Overijse.
Then the non-cycling things. What's your favorite sport outside of cycling to do and to watch?
To watch, I think F1 at the moment, but I can't do that obviously. So to do is probably hill running, like mountain running in Scotland. I'm looking forward to doing that maybe next month when I'm after Worlds.
And if you like F1, who's your favorite driver?
I'm at the top level, Verstappen. So I'm in there with all the Dutch guys, and then also like Vettel is up there for me.
When you're not busy with sports, what's your favorite Netflix series to watch?
I'm binging all of Peaky Blinders at the moment, so that's basically what I fill my day with when I'm not on my bike.
And after the season, maybe a bit of a time to get a holiday. What's your favorite holiday destination?
Probably Scotland at the moment. I'm back home at the moment, and I feel like I want to go and explore and stuff, but also it's not the best weather, so I want to go somewhere hot as well. So maybe Mallorca or something like that.
Well, you like Scotland, you are from there. What's your favorite thing about Scotland?
Just how varied things are, like the terrain, the scenery, the roads. Like within an hour of where I am, you could be, yeah, like almost like 1,000 meters above the sea, or you can be in the waves, or just it's super good place to live if you want to do lots of different things. So,
And then a final one. You spend a lot of time in Belgium. What is your favorite thing about Belgium then?
the racing because there's like nowhere else, so that's the main reason I'm there. And yeah, it's just all about the racing for me.
And is there also a cultural thing you maybe like about Belgium?
Yeah, I think I've missed out on it the last few years, as everyone. But Namur definitely reminded me why it's so special to be racing in Belgium. And now that I'm a little bit more at the front of racing, it's pretty special kind of sport to be a part of when there's so many passionate people. And yeah, I definitely want to go back to Belgium in the summer because it's something I've not seen. And from what I saw from Leuven, that just looked like just ridiculous. So if I could experience a little bit of that, that'd be cool.
Let's then go and talk about yourself a bit. Last year we spoke, then you had just broken your collarbone. After that, you have been being chased by bad luck. Could you perhaps tell us a bit about the bad luck that you've had after your collarbone injury?
Yeah, so the collarbone, it took, I'd say, a normal amount of time to get back from, maybe a little bit longer with just how I wanted to prepare for Worlds. But then 1 week before Worlds in Overijse, I crashed in the start straight with another rider and damaged my kneecap and the kind of the joint of the knee. So that just kind of scuppered my whole kind of lead into Worlds, and then I didn't start Worlds and went home, and it was quite a frustrating injury to get back from because when I would go out on the bike, it would be fine sometimes, and then not other times, and it was connected to other parts of other kind of weaknesses and stuff. So it took a while to get back from, and then when I was, when I then refocused for the mountain bike season, and that preparation went really well, and then 2 days after the first race, I broke my humerus just above my elbow, pretty badly in Austria, and needed surgery and metal put in to fix all the damage. And that was kind of the story of my summer last year, and the kind of recovery from that injury.
And how did that second injury influence your preparation towards the cyclocross season? Did it hamper you?
When I did it, it was pretty devastating, obviously, but I always knew in the back of my head, like from what I was told, I knew it was serious and that it would take months, but I had months, and I knew that I had this potential in cyclocross to really have good results, and I'd shown just a tiny amount of that in the kind of 2020-21 season before I got injured. So yeah, I think that was my main goal. All I thought about was October, like October, just get fit, get strong, make sure that the body works, and then we'll just see how things are. Anything between that was a bonus. And for me, that was the kind of road racing that I did, and the more time I had, obviously, because when I don't have the pressure of racing, there's time to do other things. And I'll look back on last year as, yeah, pretty significant for what I wasn't able to do. For example, the World Mountain Bike World Cups and the road racing, but also for what I was able to do because, being injured when you aren't racing, you do have these other opportunities. So I'm happy that I was able to take them.
You mentioned that you were racing quite a bit on the road. You won a local race, and we remember that you had a very strong showing at the national championships. Could you tell us a bit about those national championships on the road and what that did with your confidence going in towards the cyclocross season?
Yeah, I think I was going really well at the start of the cross season, and yeah, off the back of that national champs, I think it showed that the national champs course and the way that it's raced is very kind of open and very aggressive. So there's no real easy ride, and everyone really has to fight for every position. So it was such like my power numbers like were just crazy for my weight, and on that course, like I was not expecting to be able to do that, but the racing obviously it brought me on. And I had no baseline going into it, so I was just in a position to ride as hard as I could and try and last as long as I could. So I came out of that a bit like, yeah, like what else could be possible, that type of thing. But I went right into the cross season, so I didn't really think about it, which is probably a good thing. But since then, I've thought about it a little bit more, and I think next year there are opportunities to try and kind of see where those abilities could kind of take me.
And you also were planning to do mountain biking, but does these results that you got on the road change anything about your mountain bike ambitions, or is it still a big goal of yours?
Yeah, what I'm planning to do this summer is kind of make up for what I missed out on a bit last year. So I'm doing most of the mountain bike World Cups. I'm quite keen to see what my level is in the U23, and then between that, I think the road racing can work really well with that, and then also progress me onto the cross season. So I think the main thing will just be kind of managing the rest and the travel and these things. But I'm in a position where I can race these really high level road races and mountain bike races, and it's what the teams want to see. It's what I want to do. So I think it's going to work really well.
Making progression is something that you've already done this season already. You started your season relatively late compared to some other cyclocross riders, but already in Overijse you got top 10 in the World Cup with the elites even. Was that something that you thought would be possible, or was that beyond your wildest dreams?
I'd had the goal of maybe getting a top 10 in a Belgian race, just a UCI race. I think that's quite a good goal for an international rider coming to Belgium. You see it with Felipe Orts and other guys, like when they're getting in the top 10, that's in a strong season. But at World Cup and with how the World Cups are seen this year, I think, I still my best result of the season. I think even looking back at it is my highlight. Just the way that I was able to ride that course from the back of the grid, basically. And in the moment, I wasn't really realizing what I was doing. I was just kind of racing it like minute by minute, but and you can never really plan for that. I couldn't go into a race with a kind of game plan, a race like that with a game plan, because there's so many things that happen, and you never know how the course is going to be riding and what the dynamic is. It just happened to be that the Overijse, there's no real groups, so you can kind of use riders as you're jumping across. I think in a race like Tabor or somewhere else, like because it's really hard to get a difference in speed. In Overijse, there's the ability to at 3 kilometers an hour or whatever can make a big difference. Whereas to get 3 kilometers an hour on a fast course is just ridiculous. You'd need like Van der Poel legs, that type of thing. So yeah, no, it's looking back, I realize, yeah, of course it was within me, but to actually do it is different.
The day after Overijse, you immediately continued your good results with a second place on the mythical Koppenberg and the Koppenberg Cross, almost winning there. Again, was that also something that was a goal for you before the season, or was that still something that you thought would be a wild dream?
Yeah, I thought that type of ride would come later. Like, it was only the second week of my cross season, so that first block, the way we approached it was just to, yeah, because I hadn't been racing at that level for so long. It was just to find out what things weren't right. But it turned out that most things were right, and there were just a few things that we needed to tweak. And I look back at Koppenberg as a little bit of a missed opportunity. I think if I'd had those legs in that situation a couple of months later, I think I would have been able to take the win. But just with where it was in the season and with how I raced it, I was just a little bit short on PIM. But that's how it is.
A week after already was the first championship of the season. It was the European Championships. Because of those strong performances, you were put forward as maybe the top or one of the top favorites for that race. You ended 6th there. You said after the race that you were disappointed with that result. Could you tell us a bit about that race and your disappointment?
I was disappointed. Obviously, when you go to a new course as well, there's that kind of unknown factor of how the race could be. And in my head, I'd been making it out to be this kind of like, it'll be like Koppenberg. You'll have to race the parkour. You'll have to really manage your effort. But even on the first lap, I realized it was not going to be that. There were about 15 of us, I think, in that front group, and just, yeah, I don't think my mindset ever really clicked into what was needed to be done, which was to relax when you needed to relax and to really go hard when you need to go hard. And that really like polarized way of racing is something that the Dutch and the Belgians have maybe got more practice of. And I just had no kind of clarity of thought. You could see it in the way I was riding. At any opportunity, I was like, must get to the front. And then I would crash or I would make a mistake and something like this. So it's a little bit hard to look back on because I know my legs were super good. I think I did animate the race, but yeah, there's no point in animating the race if you aren't going to get on the podium or win a jersey. But I think I learned a lot from that. And 1 week later, I was able to kind of put things a lot better.
We've heard some people compare the parcours on the Vanberg with the parcours that we're going to at the end of this month at the World Championships. Both have one big climb and can be a very fast course. Do you think that these parcours are comparable?
I don't really know. From what I think the World Cup was, just the conditions of it were maybe not normal. So there's that aspect that we don't really know. The descents look really fast, so it's kind of hard to say how they would go. And then, yeah, apart from that, I'm just not sure. I think what we definitely know is that the start of the race will be very like full on and that type of thing, because there's just so much nerves from a world champs. I know that from past years. And then it just depends if the parkers are going to allow for a group to kind of form, because like naturally at a race like Namur, you just can't hold the wheel if someone is good. Whereas if even if someone has mediocre legs, they could still be in contention until the race actually goes. And it's until then I'll hope that I can be in a situation that I can then kind of animate, if it's to be group racing, but we don't know.
And if it would be group racing on a fast parcours, has the European Championships given you new insights how to deal with these situations?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from that, in how the main things I learned that I actually used in Tabor, and just being more careful with my effort, because when the race is kind of stop start, there's quite a lot of time to recover, but then when it goes full gas again, it's very full gas. Naturally, I'm more of a kind of a tempo kind of threshold rider. I want the pace to be really high, but for it to be my pace, which is I think why the kind of more heavy courses suit me, because there's no point in sitting on a wheel, that type of thing, and I can dictate the pace. So if it does turn out to be group racing, I need to use my strengths, which is maybe the longer effort, but in a way that I'm not just dragging everyone around, because that's basically what I did in Europeans for a couple of laps, is just dragged around 10 guys with me.
So judging by this, is it fair to say that you would prefer to have the similar conditions as the World Cup compared to the weather which it is now, which means that it's -10 overnight and +10 in the day?
Yeah, I think even though that -10 +10, it could create a bit of like slick and that type of thing, like kind of Bookends was. I think I remember it was that slickness on top, which made it technical and made it that was an aspect of it. But it just depends how. I think world's courses, they have the tendency to be so wide and sometimes a bit featureless. So it just depends how much it cuts up, and if there are cambers to kind of make differences. Because the course in the Europeans, it was just, yeah, it was interesting that it was really not technical for a large part of it, and then it was technical in one section, which made the pace really slow, and then the rest was really fast. So whereas a normal kind of Belgian race is kind of little bits of kind of different course through the lap, which means it's this kind of yo-yo thing. So yeah, we'll just have to see.
If we look at the season that you had after the Europeans, which we talked a bit about now, you got another podium place in the X2O race in Kortrijk, and then you went to the UK, took 2 wins. But then you came back to Europe, had a bit of bad luck in Namur, but got redemption in Dendermonde by winning your first World Cup. Must have felt great to do that on Boxing Day.
Yeah. The day happened very quickly. I think I like the U23 races that we race at 12. You wake up, you go to the course. There's not really much hanging about. You just get it done. And by 1-2 o'clock, I'd won a World Cup, and that was job done. So no, it was really cool, and it was the kind of pinnacle of what I've done this cross season, and just shows that I can actually win a bike race. I think winning on that level is very different from just riding well in the elites or coming from the back or having bad luck and doing that. I wanted a race that wasn't, oh, you did well, because I just wanted to do a good race, and that was Dendermonde for me.
And then after Dendermonde, your season continued. Between Dendermonde and the British Championships, how did it go?
Not the best, but also not bad. I think from what I've learned in the last month is that managing your kind of level is really hard. And I've got a lot more respect for the guys who are fighting for podiums every week or within that kind of top 5 like podium potential, because if you're on your day every day, then it's not possible. So you have to manage that, and not every race. And I really struggled at Learnhout. Just 4 days after I won a World Cup, I couldn't even kind of be in contention at all. And just dealing with that in the race and trying to manage that. I'm happy that I finished, and I was like a minute or something back on Thibaut or on Pim. But it's just new experiences for me, realizing that you can have amazing legs one day and then the next it just might not be there. But I think the Christmas period went well. The win at Dendermonde kind of makes everything okay. But that's something I'll be looking to improve in the future, is that kind of trying to manage the lows and the highs and just continue the progression.
And then just 2 days ago, the British Championships took place. You ended second there. How was that? Were you happy with that result, or were you first disappointed and now happy, or still disappointed?
At first, definitely disappointed, and I'm more kind of content with the result. I've watched the race back, and I realized just how heavy it was and just how much running it was. And on a course like that against someone like Thomas Mean, to be 4 seconds behind is actually, I'm proud of it. It's just, no matter what the course was, when there is a jersey on the line and when this opportunity has come across because Tom Pidcock missed it, then you just see what's possible. But in the grand scheme of things, there are a lot bigger things, and there's more years to come. So as I say, and just another like learning experience of racing with someone world class, Thomas Mean, and on another national champs, because I think I'm learning that every year national champs is something different. I'm getting really good at racing in Belgium, but coming back to the UK and racing a national champs course, they're always wrecked from the day before. It's normally, very long lap, that type of thing. It's just, it takes a totally blank, like clean slate. Doesn't really matter what you've done in the races before. You just have to treat it like it is.
Definitely an atypical type of race, which is quite common for national championships that host like 20 races in a weekend. I mean, in France we saw the same, and I think in a way that's part of the championships, and often at the World Championships you kind of see the same, because in Dubendorf the course also got totally wrecked because there's so much pre-riding, and that could also happen at the World Championships. And between now and the World Championships, how would you say that your form is now, and how are you going to make sure that you're at your best form at the World Championships?
Yeah, I think my form is probably similar to kind of the start of December, I think. So I've got time really to get my level back up. We're kind of basing my schedule on a similar schedule that I did in the lead up to Dendermonde because it works so well. So yeah, that's all we can really do. I think in some ways there's time, but in other ways, what's already within me we'll just have to do. I will go to world champs off the back of this season and what I've already done. So yeah.
What races will you be riding then between now and the World Championships?
So I'll do Hammer and Hoogerheide, and that will be all. So when I was planning my season a couple of months ago, my plan was always to miss Flamanville. Just looking at this period off the back of Christmas and nationals, just racing every weekend. The weekend into Worlds is quite a lot.
Didn't the cancellation of the under 23 race in Hoogerheide make you doubt that decision? Because after all, you could have still won the World Cup.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it was cancelled, I looked at all the logistics around going to Flamanville and thought about that. But then I also thought about, it's my last year of U23, and when a world's title is kind of there's potential to take a world's title, I have to think 100% for that, and that's why my decision is to miss Flamanville.
We already talked about the parcours at the World Championships, but regardless of the parcours, what is your goal going to be?
The goal is to win. I think I've shown that on my best day that's possible. I have really strong competitors and quite a lot of them. I think the U23 level this year is high, shown by how well they can do it in the elite races. I've got top 10, Mays has got a top 10, Pim obviously has the podium, and Ryan has done top 10s too. So you have a group of U23 guys who can finish highly in elite races, but no real standout. We've all had our good periods and our bad periods, and it will just on race day and Thibaut as well. I need to mention that it will just be about who's done it right and who's got it on the day. So as it is exciting because, but then also just really nerve-wracking because I could be in a position that it could go my way or it could not. So we'll have to see.
So you expect a close race at the front. Outside of the names you just mentioned, are there any other names we should account for potentially a podium or victory?
Oh, definitely. The list goes lower into Jenti Michels has been riding so well. I was so impressed at Namur. The speed he was climbing it at was unbelievable, and his technical skills kind of were holding them back a little bit because we would yo-yo the whole race actually, but the way that he was hitting the climbs was just it was mad. Even when I was doing, I think in the middle section I was doing laps kind of similar to Pim, and he was riding the climbs so much faster than me. So on a good day he can do that, and the Tormans boys, they've shown that on their day as well that they can ride really, really well. So there's a good 7 or 8 guys who are in a position to podium, and then after that it will just be about all the other things you have to deal with at Worlds, which is the same for everyone.
You've already done a couple of World Championships, and how do you deal with the pressure? Is that something that's difficult every time, or do you have a way to deal with it, or is it not even an issue for you?
It's definitely an issue. I think, the pressure for national champs, I learned a lot about what to do right, what to do wrong, that type of thing. So for me, it always comes down to as long as I can put myself in a position where I'm really looking forward to the actual racing and the enjoyment that I'll get from it, then that just it allows me to just focus on what needs to be done. If I think about too many things, then yeah, it just gets a bit overwhelming. And then it makes the simple things like eating, sleeping, and the training a lot harder. So if I think about how fun the actual race will be and how good it will feel when it's done, when I do a good job of it, then that's the motivation for me.
Well, that sounds like a good way to prepare yourself for the race. About the preparation, it's something we've asked all riders now, but how will you be dealing with the jet lag? Do you expect that to be a big problem for you?
Yeah, so we're going on Monday. So we'll be in America, yeah, Monday evening. And then that gives, yeah, with racing Saturday, I've like one less day. But yeah, me and my coach went through the plan yesterday, and we think that yeah, it's the same for everyone. And I haven't really dealt with jet lag before. I've been to New Zealand and Australia a few times, but when I was younger, and I think yeah, I can't remember what I did. I probably just slept at random times, and it didn't really matter. But when it's worlds, you need to you do need to take that aspect into account.
And when you are there, what will your preparation be looking like there? Practicing the course a lot or staying away from that and doing course practice but mainly endurance training?
Yeah, I try not to go to the course too much. I think I will just go on Friday, the day before. Yeah, I think from other world champs I've been to, there's this kind of weird thing that people go to the course every day, and especially at places like Dubendorf and stuff, when there's nothing to really look at. I don't really see much in that, and when it can change so much. So I think I want to continue with my normal training, manage my tiredness and nerves. I definitely find in the week of worlds I need something to do, but then you can only do so much bike riding. So apart from that, it will just be trying to stay relaxed and stay ready.
Then maybe binging your Netflix series for the rest?
Yeah, well, I'm basically finished Peaky Blinders now, so I need to find something new for Worlds. So I'll take recommendations.
I mean, I've been watching a Dutch series, but maybe that's the wrong language to suggest.
Yeah, it would give me something to focus on really, but it wouldn't be easy watching, I think.
Otherwise, there's this good Dutch series. It's called Undercover, and it's about an undercover police agent who infiltrates in multiple organized crime inside the Netherlands and Belgium. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds up my street. I'll give it a go. But yeah, my Dutch is it'll need to be it'll get there.
Well, we certainly wish you good luck at these World Championships. We hope you can, deliver for yourself and your own expectations. And after that, you seem pretty happy with Trinity and the way it's going there. What's the plan for the summer and potentially the next couple of seasons?
This summer, yeah, is mountain bike World Cups and some road opportunities and a little bit of gravel opportunities as well. When I'm feeling like, yeah, the gravel gives me a nice break. It's such a different environment and atmosphere. It's just yeah, it's good fun. So that's part of it. And then yeah, the cross seasons to come. I think I've got more things to tick off, and I have yeah bigger things to move up to. So yeah, that's as much as I can probably say.
What's your long time goal in cyclocross then?
I think I'm not very good at long-term goals, so just yeah, I think at the moment I'd like to think I'm that kind of top 15, top 20 rider, and if I can push more towards the top 10, like all those riders in the top 10, I have massive respect for, and they do such a good job. And if I can be on that level, then that's I think a good goal for my elite career.
And do you hope to be doing that with your team of Trinity in the future as well?
Well, I'll be moving on from Trinity after U23. It serves a purpose as a U23 development team, and it's done an awesome job at that. So I'm excited for what's next. But I've still got things to prove in the mountain bike and the road as a U23 still.
Then do you already have a clear path? I would obviously expect that you can't name any teams, but has there been any contact already?
Yeah, there's interest. I think even after the kind of Overijse Koppenberg weekend, I think people must have seen what I'd done, but that's only one weekend, so it always takes a little bit longer. And yeah, it's interesting the kind of people who have been talking, and from the roadside as well. It's not something that I would have expected, but there is interest, and It's not something I would have considered as well, because when I'm just focusing on cross, I'm focusing on cross. But I think what other riders have done in cycling the last few years has made people realize that cyclocross riders can also perform in loads of other things. So even if I don't know my own potential in that, others might start to see that. So that's exciting.
Certainly exciting. And would you also be open to that, to race more on the road?
Yeah, I think it would have to be a balance, and also a balance of kind of interests. Like I would have the reasons that they were bringing me on, for example, it would have to align with what I'm doing. And at the end of it, I want a solid support network in cross. From what I've had with Trinity, I realized how important that is, by having the right people in the right place, really passionate about it. So I don't just want a kind of I don't want cross to just be an add-on. It has to be quite high up in the kind of in the offer. Yeah.
Because cyclocross is still your main passion.
Yeah, definitely.
And with cyclocross being your main passion, we can see that that's also becoming a thing more in the UK, that there are more and more riders and fans getting into the sport. We've heard that next year we are likely to have a World Cup in the UK. How do you feel about that?
I think it's perfect timing. I'm of the generation that saw Milton Keynes. I raced the kind of national level event at Milton Keynes, and from that point on, where I think that was a real golden era of cyclocross with Kevin Powers in the leader's jersey and Sven and everything. So to have the next generation back in the UK, Wout and Mathieu, it will be huge. And if I learned anything from nationals, is that people want it. The sponsors want it, the riders want it, the communities want it, because maybe it's connected to COVID as well, that people are just hungry to go out and do things and put things on and really help out. So if that can continue into next year's season, then that will be really cool.
Well, hopefully your results and the results of the other Brits will encourage many more Brits to come to that World Cup next year. It's rumored to be in or about London, so fingers crossed that will get foot off the ground. But first, the focus on the World Championships. We'll let you go now so you can prepare for that World Championships. Thank you for talking to us, Cameron.
Thank you very much for having me again.
No problem at all. We should be the one thanking you. We hope the World Championships go as planned for you. And leading up to those World Championships, we will be releasing more podcasts. This Friday, we will be releasing a podcast with David Haverdings, the top favorite for the world title in the junior men category. And then we go towards a podcast about some racing that's happening, the World Cup in Flamanville. And after that, we are back with more rider interviews. But who? You'll just need to wait a bit and find out about that one. Thanks for listening, everyone. Goodbye.